I have the lovely Sabina here with us. She's on Instagram as Sabina the Therapist, and she's a qualified CBT therapist, so that's cognitive behavioural therapy. So we're going to talk a little bit about acceptance and body image and being aligned with your values. So yeah, we'll get started.
Exciting!
So we'll just start with some movement and then I can ask you some questions. So we're going to come over onto all fours, knees under your hips, hands under your shoulders, and we'll just gently lower your chest to the floor. Good, get a nice stretch through your back, and then lift all the way up, get a nice hump through your back. Good. So tell us a little bit about CBT, what it is, why you love it.
So CBT, it's cognitive behavioural therapy, which is a horrifically long word. But yeah, so the premise is that how we think and how we behave has a big impact on how we feel.
Okay.
So what we like to do is change our thoughts, challenge them, and adapt our behaviours to feel better and to reduce symptoms.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So we have spoken to another CBT therapist, and I think we've got a really good understanding of like what the actual process is. So it would be really good for me to understand like how you would use it for specific things. So I know that you mentioned I guess feeling aligned with yourself. Like, how does that work? What's involved with that?
So I guess when you get a diagnosis like scoliosis or another long-term health condition, you can have lots of kind of thoughts that come with that. It's a big thing to kind of hear.
Yeah.
So you might think about it as kind of a threat to your life,
yeah,
to your future, your plans, your goals. So yeah, it's a big kind of adjustment to take on.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you are thinking things like, yeah, this is going to be really tough, what am I going to do? You might then naturally want to avoid seeing people or avoid doing things that are in line with your goals. So I guess the idea is to really think about what it is that you want to do and maybe adapting some of those things to feel better.
Yeah, okay. Finish that last one for me. We're going to come into your Superman, so we'll just take arm and leg out, stretch, and then switch. And that alignment could be, I guess, like I'm thinking of it physically, like of a sport that I'd want to do, but I guess that could be in any part of your life.
It can be, yeah, definitely. And say, like an example is, I don't know, say if somebody loved walking their dog and they're going to have surgery and they won't be able to do that maybe for a while. Is it that they love nature? And they can adapt that by bird watching from inside their house or listening to nature podcasts. Is it that they like the social aspect of walking the dog? Can they call a friend? Can they play with the dog in the house? It's kind of about adapting the value and what it is that you enjoyed out of that activity.
Yeah, okay, so making it work for you rather than being frustrated at what you can't perhaps do.
Yeah, and although that frustration is really normal, it'd be difficult not to feel that way. Yeah, it's about trying to think, okay, move with that frustration, what can I do?
But even understanding that it is normal is really helpful.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Because
it'd be weird if you weren't frustrated.
Yeah. I remember this so vividly, like when I had my diagnosis, I was the only person with it at school. So of course you don't know what's normal because you're the only example that you've got.
Yeah, and that's why Instagram accounts are so great. Like your account is so great for that stuff.
Thanks.
But yeah, like seeing other people who are like you and being like, actually, this is normal, this is okay.
Yeah, and
it's
seeing
hard,
them do well.
Yeah, exactly. You can still kind of meet your goals and.
Yeah. Finish this last one for me. Well done. And you can sit back, give your wrist a little bit of breather. Oh, those are good for you.
That's good.
Right, we are going to do some side planks. We're getting into the sides of your core. So if we come and rest on forearms, knees tucked up, we won't do too many, I promise.
So it's being easy on me.
Yeah, so we're going to squeeze up with your waist and then lift your hips off the floor and hold and release. I find psychologically it makes it easier if you put a hand up.
Oh,
I don't know why. It makes it feel like you got a bit of help reaching
from
up.
gravity.
Yeah. Let's do 3 more and then I'll ask you another question because it's hard to talk whilst you're doing these.
It is, yeah, but I like a challenge.
Oh, good. So within CBT, there's obviously loads of different conditions that you're working with. Is there anything that you work with as like a passion project? Like, what's your favourite person to work with? I guess I don't want to say your favourite illness.
That's a hard one, I guess. maybe OCD and body dysmorphia.
So body dysmorphia I'm really interested in. I'll tell you this next movement we'll go. So we're going to lift top leg up to hip height, bottom leg's going to squeeze. Ooh. And release, well done. So body dysmorphia I find so fascinating with scoliosis because we kind of get diagnosed during puberty. It's kind of like a 10 to 15 kind of age, if I had to pick a example.
That's a hard time.
Yes. And everyone's getting like curvy, and then we grow curves in the wrong places, like in our spines, and you're just hyper aware of how you look.
Yeah.
And that can be really tough. So therapy is really helpful for that, is it?
Oh yeah, really is. I guess that time that you've mentioned is the time when your body's changing.
Yeah.
It's especially hard when you're changing in a different way to others,
yeah.
potentially. Again, I guess that's why seeing other people that look like you is so important, like on social media. I would recommend like my clients to follow people who look like them and make them feel good about themselves, and who are, again, I don't know, not hiding who they are and what they look like.
Yeah, no, that's so important. Oh, finish that last one. Oh, squeeze those knees in, well done. We'll do something nice. You can do
like this one.
out and take an elbow behind. Yeah, well done. We'll coordinate on these. So obviously, like following other people, like understanding that you're not on your own is really important. How can actual therapy sessions aid with that body dysmorphia? Like what kind of things would you do in a session?
So we would look at the person's thoughts about how they look, what they believe about how they look. So for example, they might believe, okay, I have a scar, I look awful, this can't be seen by other people. They might judge me, I might be left out of things. So as a result of that thought, which is quite a horrible thought to have about yourself, is that they will then avoid wearing certain clothing, going swimming, going to the beach, wearing a vest top, doing exercise at the gym that requires wearing like a gym outfit. Yeah. And then obviously, if you're not doing all those things, you're going to feel so much worse about yourself. So we challenge and look at those thoughts and try and put some more helpful behaviours in. Like one of the things you can do is think about, like, what is it I'm avoiding? Is it that I'm not wearing those tight shorts because my hips are uneven? Is it that I'm not wearing that vest top? I don't want my scars to show. And challenge yourself and say, right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to see what happens.
Yeah, I love that. Set yourself a challenge.
Yeah, see what happens. And most of the time, what you think will happen is it's not as bad, first of all. And if you do get any negativity, it says so much more about the other person than it does you.
That's true. That's hard to come round to, but you're right. Finish that last one for me. We're going to come all the way up, come to the other side. I always say that with people that when they have scars, obviously you've been looking at my scar the whole time, but they'll say they're really worried that someone will come up and comment. And I'm like, I would love if someone would come up and ask me about my scar, because then I can be like, I teach all these classes with people with fusions, and let me tell you everything, but no one ever has. I know, and people are so worried about it, and I'm like, I'm actively looking for it, and no one's ever asked me.
I see.
But it's like,
so it's not as common as you think.
No, not at all. And I think people do work themselves up, understandably.
Yeah.
We'll do your side planks here again. I'm sorry. So we can do our little mind trick. We're gonna lift and come up. But yeah, scars and rib humps and curvy bumpy bits can be really hard to come to terms with.
Definitely.
So it's nice to know that there's something that can help out there.
Oh yeah, definitely. And the thing is, change is uncomfortable.
Yes.
It's not like CBT it's not an easy therapy to go through. It's tough, but it is really worth it. You get such good benefits from it. Living your life as who you are, in the body you've been given, not having that kind of constant anxiety about it, and improving your self-esteem.
So what makes it tough? Is it that it's collaborative? Is it that you've got to put the work in yourself?
Oh, that's it, yeah. So you've got a lot to do in CBT, lots of changes to make, and if you think about, I don't know, how often you stick to your New Year's resolutions, never. It's almost like that. It's like you're making goals and you're actually with the support of someone going, I'm going to change these things that are quite hard to change.
Yeah, okay, so it's more of a support to help you to help yourself.
That's it, yeah.
That's so good. This is what we're always saying with pain management as well, that I think often people feel like they want to just be given a magic pill, and I understand it, and you might think that a doctor can almost solve your problems for you, but you have to put the work in, whether it's moving or working emotionally as well. There's a lot of effort that has to come from you.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I always say, like, if it was easy, I wouldn't have a job.
Yeah.
And I don't have a magic wand.
Yeah.
So this is something I will talk to my clients about as well.
Yeah.
That it's not a quick and easy fix, but what tends to happen is when someone comes to help, their life at the moment, they're struggling a lot. So
yeah,
it's worth it to put the effort in to try and see some difference.
It's needed. It's empowering as well if you've done it for yourself.
Yeah, it really is. And you keep those skills. They don't go away. You are your own therapist now.
Yeah, and that's so magical. Like if the doctor was to give you a pill, if the problem happens again, you're so reliant on that other person. So it's amazing to know that you can make a difference to your own health.
That's it, yeah. Very empowering, like you said.
Yeah. So tell us a bit about that pain management side then. Is that worked on in exactly the same way as body image? Like it's about challenging where the pains come from almost?
It's a bit different with pain because we can't change pain.
Yeah.
We can't really challenge it. We kind of just have to go, hi pain, you're there. One of the things you can do is think about when the pain comes, what are those thoughts that you're having? Is it, this pain is ruining my life? Is it, I have no control over this pain? Is it, this pain is so horrific, I'm never going to be able to do anything I want again?
Like catastrophizing it.
Yeah, and obviously, really understandable, really normal thoughts to have.
Yeah.
But with pain, the only thing we do have control over is how we respond to it. So if we can get a better relationship with pain and move with it rather than struggling against it,
I love that. Yeah.
We can have that tiny bit of control that can kind of help us.
Yeah, and that's so important, like understanding that that's the only thing you're in control of is your reaction to it, because it connects you to your body and it's going to stop you from feeling like pain's this horrible monster that's like eating away at you every single day.
Yeah, and I guess another thing as well is pain can feel constant, and you might describe it as constant.
Yeah.
But if you take a non-judgmental kind of look at it, you might think, okay, it's a 10, it's a 10 out of 10 pain. Okay, it's a 9 now. Okay, it's a 7 now. So you can see the fluctuations in it.
Like objectifying it almost.
Yeah.
And that strips the emotional response away, doesn't it?
Yeah. And that can really help. I think it was it's mindfulness based therapies. They actually found they looked into it. And looking at the pain in a non-judgmental way was really helpful.
Yeah.
But also the yoga Pilates element of it as well was really helpful.
Yes.
It was like one of the best change methods was the movement together in a group with people.
Well, this is fascinating. We'll finish with that one. We'll come up onto all fours. This is so fascinating because what we're trying to do combines all of that, because then you're speaking with people that you know and you're moving, and we do a lot of relaxation, like trying to connect with your body and with your pain in that sense as well. But yeah, taking away the emotions that are attached to the pain can help it feel less intense.
Yeah. It's almost like, hi, there's my pain again.
Yeah.
It's here. I'm gonna have to live alongside it.
Yeah, and living alongside it is a really good way to think about it. We're gonna do a stretch finally. So we're gonna come all the way forwards to lunge. And then see how bendy you are, put hands down and come back for your hamstring stretch. Oh, nice. And you can spend as long as you like in each position, you do you. Good stuff. No, that's really insightful, and I think that will help a lot of people who are struggling with pain, because you feel like you can't do anything about it. Like you say, and you feel trapped by it. And a lot of people will have scoliosis, or they'll have the same surgery as I did for it. And you never really recover from it. And in terms of pain, you feel almost like, pardon the pun, but you feel like fused to your pain.
Yes.
And I think that becomes a mix, doesn't it? It's not just about the pain, but it's the body image, it's the anxiety, it's all tied together.
Yeah, you're almost describing, I guess, self-esteem and your identity.
Yeah, there's a really interesting study that was done, and it looked at body confidence pre-surgery and how that impacted recovery. People who had better self-esteem pre-surgery recovered better longer term.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So potentially having the CBT or the therapy before the surgery is really key.
Yeah, and it's again part of that acceptance. Okay, I'm going to go through this spinal surgery. How's that going to impact my life? How am I going to adjust and listen to my body a bit better?
That's really interesting.
Yeah. I'll finish that last and we'll switch those legs over.
I've got the sofa to hold on to.
Oh,
cheeky.
This is the one where I always fall over on, so I come always all the way forward. I'm going to embarrass myself. And then we'll do the same coming back. Well done. I'm trying really hard. Okay, so it's all intertwined, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
That's I think what we were talking about on over messages was that our physical health and our mental health is it's the same thing really. You think about it, our brain is a part of our body.
Yeah, true. And I think healthcare is starting to recognise that. It's been really good. When I had my operation, it was very much like, you're having this op, it's going to fix your spine, you'll be fine. Which obviously wasn't the case. And now when I'm doing my physio degree, it's like, actually, what's that person feeling? What are their emotions going in? And I'm like, this is so good. So obviously,
so your the expectations they gave yourself for you,
almost
must have made it. Yeah, must have made it harder for you.
And I think people do think that they go into the surgery thinking that it is going to fix everything. Actually, you need to accept that scoliosis is something you're going to live with forever. And you need to adjust your lifestyle based on that. I'm not saying that there's stuff you can't do. Like, I can do absolutely anything. I can't do a roly-poly, but it's okay. But
you found other things that you can do instead?
Yeah, nothing quite beats a roly-poly. I do miss it. If you can think of an example, let me know. But it just means that I have to, I don't know, eat better, sleep better, make sure I'm moving every day, and make those adjustments for myself. But I see that as a positive now, rather than it's a chore, I have to move my body because I'm broken, like all of that side of things. So I guess that is a part of the acceptance, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so lovely to hear that, and I bet it's so lovely for others who are struggling to hear that from you too.
But that took me a long time.
Yeah.
I always say that I didn't really think about the emotional side. And I was in therapy for something completely different. We had a family bereavement, and I don't know if you ever do this with your clients, but she drew like a timeline of my life. Yeah.
I love a timeline.
Yeah. And I was like, when I was 15, I had this major spinal surgery, and she was like, let's just think about that for a second. I was like, that was quite emotional time.
You've made a really good point actually, is if you aren't, I guess, considering your mental health, these events, and it happens quite a lot actually, you'd be surprised, they're like, I don't know why I'm like this, and then we go back and we're like, it potentially could be that.
But you don't realise the emotions that are tied to it. We'll come out of that. We're going to come into a child's pose. This will be nice.
I love this one.
Yeah, it's funny. You don't realise the emotions tied to it. Like, for example, one of my clients said that she was doing something in science at school, and the smell of the chemicals reminded her of hospital, and she got very emotional. And this is what CBT is about, right? It's like triggers in the brain.
Yeah, and our smell is our strongest sense, so we use that a lot in PTSD work, the senses as well.
PTSD is so fascinating to me. I was reading this book called The Body Keeps the Score. Have you read it?
I haven't read it, I've heard very good things.
But it was about PTSD and just how your brain literally changes, the function literally changes to try and process what you're going through, and you can't put your emotions into words because that part of your brain like shuts off. And I'm like, I think this is what's happened. Like, I feel bad saying that it's like a trauma, but it was like major spinal surgery at 15.
At a really young age as well. Life changing.
Yeah, so I think people perhaps underestimate what it is that you're going through, and like, I don't want people to be like, I should have known, or parents to be like, I should have known, because you can't.
Yeah. And I think you mentioned it before, like, times are changing in the medical world now.
Yeah.
They are starting to see actually, maybe we need to be thinking of things holistically, not just physical, not just mental health. So actually we do a lot of training on long-term
Yeah.
health conditions as CBT therapists, as therapists in the NHS. We've got funding to do that because they see the
Good.
impact that it has. Well, 1 in 3 people with a long-term health condition will have some kind of mental health problem. So
Right. Is that more like depression, anxiety side of things, or?
more commonly depression and anxiety, yeah, but
That's so interesting.
they have big impacts on your life, depression and anxiety.
Yeah, of course. And that again is where you're saying like when it starts to impact your daily living and you can't perhaps do the things you want to do, that's where you need to be seeking help.
Definitely, yeah. If you feel like you're struggling, and I think a lot of people think, oh, but other people have it worse than me.
Definitely.
That's such a common thing that I
hear
hear.
that all the time, yeah.
And I just want to tell people, like, if you don't feel okay, that's not okay. Like,
Yeah, it
come get
doesn't-
some help.
Exactly, it doesn't negate your own experiences. Like, yes, people have there'll always be someone with it worse, but you can still be struggling. Like that's
Yeah, and it's just so subjective. Like something can happen to one person and they'll be
Yeah.
fine. The same thing happen to a different person, and
self-destroying.
yeah, it depends on what you think about it and your
Yeah.
experience.
And I guess that's partly what you do, right? You're looking at why people experience things in different ways.
Yeah,
and
what does
understand
it mean
that
to you to that have happened to you?
Yeah. Oh, that's so fascinating. This has been so interesting. I feel very seen. I feel like you've opened a little window into my soul. But is there anything else? I know you said you brought a little prop with you.
I did.
Do you know where we put it?
What a prop. I don't know where it's gone.
Where have we put it? But just to help like understand.
I've got on the hunt for it.
Yeah, go on the hunt. Just to help us like understand, wasn't it, about our reaction to perhaps scary things or unexpected news.
So I think I use this with, I guess, pain in particular, intrusive thoughts it can be used for.
Okay.
So it's basically what we've been talking about of, well, let's see, go on. Put your finger in.
It's not going to bite me, is it? No.
Okay, and I'll do it too, to be
Okay.
nice. So this, if you imagine this as like your pain or your difficult experience, if you pull against it,
I'm going to really go for it.
you get stuck.
Yeah.
It's not very, well, how does it feel?
It's not very pleasant.
It's not very pleasant, she's very stuck.
Yeah.
And so what we would try and do is move with it, relax.
Yeah.
So we're moving into it.
Oh god.
I'm out.
You're showing me up again. We did practice this before. Oh no.
Okay, so.
Is this explaining something about me? Oh no.
Let's see if she can do it. Hey, we're out.
Success. So that would be a really nice example of just describing like actually working with yourself and listening. I guess trusting yourself.
Trusting yourself, moving with pain, moving with difficulty rather than fighting against it.
Yeah. Oh, it's so interesting. I love a little visual cue. So I'm going to ask you a really tough question, which I apologise in advance. But if there's like one thing you could say to somebody, so say I'm 10 years ago, I've just come out of my operation. And obviously feeling all of this anxiety and fear for my future, like what's one thing that I could do to help myself? Sorry, big question.
I would say talk to yourself how you would speak to someone that you cared about who's gone through what you've gone through.
Yeah.
So we're so quick to be, oh, you should be like this, or why are you feeling this? But really think about how you're talking to yourself, because it can make such a difference to your self-esteem and how you feel.
Yeah, like you would never say to a friend like, oh, your scars are disgusting.
No. You would say, damn, you've been through a lot. Like,
yeah, like appreciate what you've been through. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's okay that you're struggling. Like I'd be struggling too.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, good. Oh, I love that. I should take that on board. I feel like I need this in my life. Amazing. Oh, thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome.
It's
been
helpful.
lovely.
Just to learn a bit more about how all of those things are intertwined. Like I always think about it as you've got all of these different things going on, and like therapy help. If it was like a tangled ball of wool, like therapy will just like untangle it.
Yeah.
And I think
all apart.
break it down and actually think, okay, today I'm feeling really panicky, but where's that coming from? What's that been influenced by? So yeah, it's really interesting.
It's been lovely. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank
I feel
you.
all relaxed.
Oh, good. Just stretched. Amazing. Oh, thank you so much. And I'll